What is the importance of sticking and being clear on your vision?
There's a quote that you can only you can only figure things out looking back, not looking forward.
Okay.
And I think the thing that I've learned there is just that perseverance element. You pick one thing and you do it for a long enough time, you become an expert at it. But sticking to one thing and just like punching at that wall eventually does open.
Yeah.
I'm usually very quick to not say that I'm successful because of hard work alone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who work hard and things don't work out for them. When I do what was required of me and it still feels, I go to bed happy because I did my part.
Yeah.
The rest was so then you judge yourself not necessarily on output but on input. Because you can't control output.
But you can't control input.
When you have a child, they steal your life because generally if I have a child today, my life becomes about that child.
Oh.
And I selfishly want to keep my life for a while longer. I want to be able to live for myself first.
You don't want kids now?
I do not now.
Yes.
I want to be able to do what I want when I want to do. Because so that then when you do have children, you can dedicate your love and affection and time to them. But right now I want to remain a bit selfish.
Very good morning to you and a warm welcome to LNS, the Rebuilding Edition. My name is Lynn Ngugi. Now, it feels good when I get to have a conversation with someone I've sat across before. This guy, he makes time, he's busy, but I can also tell you the wisdom, the knowledge, the discipline, the consistency that he comes with, it's a lot. And today we are about to learn so many things in the conversation, and I don't want to preempt a lot of things, so I'll let him introduce himself. But before I do that, I want to say thank you so much, my people, for being incredible supporters of the network. 700K subscribers, here we come. Guys, I'm just grateful. I'm in a gratitude space right now. So asanteni sana for all you do, for watching our work, being encouraged, being motivated. I don't take it for granted. And guys, I hope even when we get into today's conversation that we can all learn that no matter what your hustle is, please, as I say, be proud of it. There is no shame in hard work. Nastaki kuongea mingi, so without further ado, please allow me to let my incredible guest introduce himself. Good morning.
Good morning, Lynn.
How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Man, I come psyched up. I'm like, you know, when you're sitting with a legend, and then when you know he made time out of his busy schedule to come and have a conversation with you, I don't take such things for granted.
No, you're very kind.
No, asante sana.
Asante.
I know you. You know, right now I can say I know Eugene on the first name basis.
Yes.
But please introduce yourself.
My name is Eugene Mbugua. I'm an entrepreneur, primarily in entertainment.
Yes.
I run a company called DNR Studios. A lot of people also know us as Young Rich TV.
Yes.
And we produce television shows and audiovisual content.
Yeah.
Very much like you. You're our competitor now.
Are you serious? Stop it.
No, Peter, Kenya's Oprah.
Oh my God. Stop it.
No, so but we produce Young Rich, Get in the Kitchen, Foods of Kenya, Story Yangu, Our Perfect Wedding, our 5th anniversary. We did Big Bahati. We did Soul Family with Sauti Soul. We did This Love with Wahu and Nameless. We did Kyallo Culture with Kyallo and the Sisters. Real Housewives of Nairobi now.
Yes.
We have a show called Best of on NTV. So we produce television shows all around.
Yeah.
We also do a lot of corporate work for a lot of the Kenyan brands. We're now getting into cosmetics because we're about to launch a makeup line called Unapologetic with Kyallo.
You are kidding me.
Yes,
that's
coming
beautiful.
Out, yes, in about a month actually.
Yes.
Outside of television, I'm also in other businesses. I run a company called Number 7 as well.
Yes.
So we have a location in the CBD. We used to have one in Estlands, but it's closed down now. Yeah, so I'm an entrepreneur, primarily in entertainment.
Oh man, you know, you said these things so humbly, and for me that's one of the best things I love about you. And I think we were having a side chat and we were like, sometimes people's character, you know, comes out, but you've remained the same. I remember during our first conversation when I reached out to you, I don't even know whether 4 years ago.
This was in 2018,
19 thereabout, and you took me to Roy Sambo with Yako growing up where you used to hustle. And geez. And I was just like, how can he commit a full day to me just to show me around and walk me through his story? So umetoka mbali, Eugene.
Yeah, it was amazing because I was amongst your first guests when you had the show on Tuko.
Yes.
And we spent a whole day, and I was telling you just earlier that was the biggest interviews I've ever done. It was the first time people started stopping me on the street.
Yes.
I don't think I'm actually particularly humble.
Really?
No.
What are you?
I'm just I speak honestly as I can.
Yeah.
But I'm also just very dependent on the effort I put in. But the journey has been long. But I don't think humility is one. If you ask my friends, they'll tell you humility is not one of my strongest points.
Yes.
Discipline is.
Discipline is. Yes, discipline is. But for me, I think it's a combination of both. I think you have it, but you don't want to admit it. Because for me, the way our encounter was, you are just so humble about not the fact that you've achieved so many things, because I don't know if you intentionally left out all the Forbes accolades that come with your name. I don't know if you intentionally left that out. But if someone was to describe Eugene, you're putting us out there. You're the executive producer right now, Real Housewives of Nairobi. That's a big show. First, I gotta commend you. Asante. I did an independent survey on my Insta story, and most of the people, when they were talking about it, they love the quality of the show. It's top notch. You can watch that show when you're in New York and you wouldn't know that it has been filmed here. So for me, that shows me the potential in our film industry. So congratulations on that big deal.
Asante. So Real Houses particularly is, just talk a bit about that. So it's a production we did for Showmax, and the format is owned by NBC Universal. And it was a huge learning opportunity, and also a very humbling experience. Huge team. It's the biggest production we've ever done, both in terms of budget, in terms of size, in terms of personnel needed. And you saw a bit of it. You were involved to a degree in the back end. We have a great team that worked on this TV show, led by the showrunner, whose name is Kyallo Culture. And it was perhaps one of the most difficult things we've ever had to do. First of all, speaking of humility, the humility that was required to learn to do the format, because how those shows work is you get a format book that's this big that tells you everything from how you're supposed to light, to what questions you ask, to what candle sits in the background where. And we had teams coming in from London to train us, train our teams, because we had our internal team and we also had a lot of freelancers working on the production. We had some people who came and sat in our office for weeks from South Africa to just train us on a lot of things that we thought we knew, and some that we knew and we just needed reinforcement on. And it was one of the best projects in the sense of the learnings we made. And as a company, one of the things that we decided very early on was that we were just not going to approach it na ujuaji. So we sat there humbly and took all the learnings. And so to see the audience love the show has been extremely rewarding for just me, the team, the board of directors that governs our company. On week, we saw the numbers get bigger and bigger. Of course, it wasn't without its challenges, as anything that big is. But that was a great lesson in humility for us as a team.
For someone who gets to receive a book like this, knowing that you're behind some of the best shows, you had a chance to say, no, I can't. I know this game. And I think that happens to a lot of people. You think you don't want to learn, right? And you say, I keep telling you, you're humble, you keep fighting it, right? But you think but you don't want to learn. As an entrepreneur, a filmmaker, what has that taught you? The power of just being a baby and letting someone else teach you.
I think we, as a company, we DNR Studios is governed by 10 rules. Some people make jokes and say it's our 10 commandments. And one of them is learning how to learn. We also operate on a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen. So Kaizen basically refers to continuous improvement day by day. So as a team, and for myself as well, and you'll see this if you follow me on social media or else, we work on daily improvement, daily small things too. You improve on lighting every day. You improve on camera work every day. If it's edits, you make them clean every day. So our whole team does quality control on all the work that we do. So those things, learning how to learn, and Kaizen, which is basically constant improvement, I think is what has contributed to the growth of our business and even our TV shows. So if you look at the first TV shows we did, like Young Rich, and compare that to Real Houses, for instance, you will see that change that has happened day by day, year by year. So it's learning how to learn and just constantly improving on everything you're doing day by day. It compounds. So by the time, because our company is now 10 years, so you can imagine that improvement day by day. I'm very keen to see where we will be in 10 years to come.
And also when I had my first conversation with you guys, the interview is available at Tuko. When I had my first conversation with you, I was so amazed at how far you've come, and you believed in your vision, and you believed in, I have this, and sometimes when I host these shows, what people struggle with is they let go of their dream, because they knew, if I chase, I have no I'm okay with careers like law, doctor, or medicine, all those things,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But there are the careers that people felt like we should do. If you are in a family and you're not doing law, medicine,
Yeah.
lawyer, all those things, then your parents had an issue with it, right?
Yes, yes.
To someone who is watching you right now and looking back, because I have some of your throwback photos now running on the screen, right? To someone who is watching, what is the importance of sticking and being clear on your vision?
There's a quote that you can only you can only figure things out looking back, not looking forward.
Okay.
So when I started, for instance, the company, which is not even the company, you can even go slightly back, because I got into film and TV when I was 17.
Yeah.
And you usually have no plan. But one of the things, I grew up very disadvantaged, and one of the tricks that I've always used in my life, or something I learned very early on, is life generally rewards those who stick to one thing. So when I finished high school, I had two options: to be an accountant or be a filmmaker. And I've told the story before.
Yes.
And a cousin of mine was a sound man on some local TV shows, Inspector Mwala and them. And so I picked that journey. And I went to school to study it. So I used to go to class in the evenings between 5 and 10 p.m. at USIU. And then during the day I would work. And the thinking for me has always been this: you get one shot, that's the one you take, and you just take it out.
Yes.
So I figured TV was it. Started out as a boom swinger, then became an extra, filling out backgrounds on different TV shows.
Yeah.
And then the interesting thing that I found is just how effort and reward works. So you put in this effort and you get this reward. You put in this effort and you get in this reward. And effort has to be clever, I think, because a lot of people work hard.
Yes.
And, it's not just hard work alone. You also have to have like some strategy to it.
Yeah.
So then for me, for the very onset, is I knew I wanted to own my own TV show. At the time, I didn't think I wanted several. I wanted one. And so then between 2009 and 2013, I was trying to sell a TV show.
Yeah.
4 years, knocked on a bunch of doors. It was the show Young Rich.
Yes.
Nobody thought it was anything. You're trying to do what? A documentary on who? Millionaires.
Why?
Which ones? Where? Why? Who needs this? And so, you knock year one, nobody cares, but you still have to continue working and doing the other jobs, working for people. Year two, nobody cares. Year three, now people are starting to listen. Also, they're a bit tired of you knocking on their door all the time.
Yes.
And life sometimes rewards you because of that. Umechosha tu watu wanataka chukua uende.
Yeah, later tuone.
Later tuone. So then year four, you see that's eventually when I get my first TV show.
Yeah.
And then when I got my first TV show, I decided that I want to double down on this. And what happens is, so after 2013, I got my first TV show on K24. It was called Young Rich. Then 2 years later, we had a show called Get in the Kitchen, so on and so forth. And now we have close to 20 TV shows.
Yes.
And I think the thing that I've learned there is just that perseverance element. You pick one thing and you do it for a long enough time, you become an expert at it. And of course, if you're improving on it daily. So now I'm just fascinated. We can now say that I've been doing this for 14 years. Yeah. So you and the person who did 1 year and quit and went and tried something else and quit and went, you're not the same. What do they say about the rolling ball?
Yes.
So I found that just sticking to the thing, a primary thing. It's not to say that you don't do other things, because you see almost in other businesses.
Yes.
But sticking to one thing and just like punching at that wall eventually does open.
Yeah.
So I've really benefited from that perseverance and just sticking it out to one thing.
All right, talk to me about fame and money, because from our last conversation, you held your first million at such a younger age, right? And now I can't even imagine the couple of millions. I can't imagine the couple of millions that that's okay, right? But talk to me about fame and money. Right now, people know you. I'm the executive producer of this great show right here, and many more shows to go. Because for me, I believe that show has just opened doors for you to go and direct and also film other shows, even in places like Hollywood and stuff like that, right? But where do we put a balance between fame and money?
I don't know about fame. I don't know how famous I am.
You are famous.
But the thing is, I'll speak to you about is, I found success maybe around the age of 22. Success, what I thought was success then, which was just financial independence. Yes. I wanted to have my own place to call home. Everybody dreams of having a car and all those things. And I found those pretty quickly. But the thing that nobody tells you is they're usually not the solution to the problems you have. It is solutions to some problems. So for instance, if you didn't have money for food and now you have money for food, that's solved.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not in any way trying to demonize success or money. But in my case, it was quickly followed by a short period there of like very, very bad mental state. I fell into a deep depression around 2014, which is about a year after I had just found what I considered success then. But this was because of other underlying issues from my childhood and stuff like this. Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
So it took a lot of work to then realize that, okay, money and success will solve some problems, but there's a lot of personal work that's needed on yourself to then find fulfillment. Because one is just success, but fulfillment takes work. And so here is where now things like fitness come into play. Things like, as opposed to relying on the perks of success to just get along. This is where therapy, where it's needed, comes into play. This is where having a supportive group of friends come into play. And so as a result of this, I adopted, so there was some years there where I was just, 2014, 2015, coasting, enjoying the perks of my success. Then as we went into 2017, 18, I realized something needed to change. So you grow older. And how do you find grounding? And so for me, it became, what I know for a fact is what gives me the most fulfillment is the work that I do. And one of the best ways to also maintain a good mental health status is fitness and positive habits. And so as you know about my routine, I think when you interviewed me, I was just starting on that routine. And so, for me, this is what my weekdays look like. Monday to Friday is I'm awake at 3:45 a.m. I leave the house at about 4:30. I'm at the gym. I work out with a trainer for 1 hour every morning, Monday to Friday. On Fridays, I work out and I play some golf, which is today. So like this morning, I played some golf. So then that's after golf, I'm at the office. I get ready. I read for about an hour and a half because you also have to sort of educate your mind. And then the work day begins. Then in the evenings, no alcohol. On weekdays, no partying. So it's usually I meet a friend for dinner, whatever. I'm in bed by 8:30 p.m. and repeat. So because of just the way my mind is set up and the challenges I had had with my mental health before, this routine just keeps me sane, and it allows me to just pump in the work. Then on weekends, I party and have a good time with my friends and sleep if I want, play with my dogs. And so this structure I have found is what eventually ended up giving me the stability that I have now to just have a good space. But it takes, as you can see, it takes a lot of work. And things like fitness, just, there's no question about it. It's scientifically proven that, being physically fit does a lot of wonders for your mind. And there's also something about it psychologically. When you wake up in the morning and do the most difficult thing, as a first thing, there's really very few things in the day that can shock you.
I love that now we are normalizing conversations around mental health and therapy. But from where you're sitting, what made you say, I need therapy, I need to prioritize my mental health?
So the thing for me, how my mental health issues came about was extreme anxiety. So it started by, what you were even talking about earlier, imposter syndrome. Am I supposed to be living here? Is this car really mine? And you start to just like really doubt yourself. Then it escalated into a real life fear. So there's times I'd be driving out of my house and I look around and go like, if I hit someone's car today, is it all over for me? Those, and they're genuine fears. You've just entered into this space that you don't belong in. You're living in this apartment and you're always worried like, hey, if I don't make rent next month,
what will happen
aibu ya kurudi resamble kumejipeleka wapi? So you see, it manifests as just self-doubt, then it becomes real anxiety. And in my case, it became crippling. There were days I wasn't able to go to work. There are days, driving was difficult. You're afraid of everything. You sit at a restaurant and you're afraid that someone might kick you out. You're worried that your phone might fail na hiyo M-Pesa ikatae. So, what are you doing in that restaurant you're not supposed to be in? And it's small fears. And then they manifest and they become bigger and bigger. And they eat at you until now you're afraid of the world entirely. And so, once it starts interfering with your functionality, you're afraid of even seeing friends or even just doing basic life things. That's when now you need to help, or you need to change some things. And usually it takes work. I think happiness does not come naturally. It's I don't know. There's a friend of mine who says like, who on earth do you think you are to have success and happiness handed to you without working for it? So you see all these other things like the anxiety needs work to undo. You need to be in good friendship groups. You need to have people who are encouraging you and calling you out on because the fear is not real. It's all in your mind. therapy where it's needed, positive habits to get yourself out of it. Because see, like it's easy when you're going through heavy stuff mentally to stay in bed, which I was doing by the way at the beginning.
Yeah.
You hide. You know, it's easier to stay in your house and watch TV all day as opposed to go and face out. But it takes more work to pull yourself up and you know, go do a run or go see a friend or because usually with action you actually realize the fear is in your mind. So for me that was the point when it became crippling and it started interfering with my day-to-day.
With your day-to-day.
Yeah, this was 2014 to 2015.
Yeah. How are you now?
Amazing. It never goes away, but I think like as one of the things that I've loved is getting older. It was because you know I was 24, 25 then.
Yes.
Now I'm 32, and I feel like a lot of the things I was afraid then, I've already seen that they're not as scary as they seem. And then you make peace with the fact. So you can resemble. So what? Sintanza tu tena. You know, so as I've grown older, I've become more self-assured, which is great. You also, I feel like a lot of these things with mental health, you just have to stick it out. Things do get better as time goes by. And a lot of the things that you're afraid of, when you face them and they don't kill you, you actually realize you're stronger than them. So it's certainly gotten better for me. I'm able to see my anxiety coming from a mile away. This is nakuona. So you counter it. And also just rest sometimes, because sometimes you know, as an entrepreneur, you know, entrepreneurship is tough.
No, it's tough. Oh gosh. I was just telling you are my source of inspiration, you know. And every time I feel like, let me tell you, people watch and they don't know. Sometimes, why am I showing up? I don't want to do this, you know. But you gotta have people who you look up to. You're like, now wait, Eugene is doing. Honestly, and I've even told BN this. Sometimes it's I'm either listening to BN and I look at where the team has come from. And I DM'd him and I was like, do you know you are my source of inspiration sometimes? Because I found myself at 4 a.m. watching his old interviews and watching a podcast that he had done with like 6-part conversations. And sometimes you need people to look up to. I get crazy about this job sometimes and I'm just there looking at you. What is Eugene? Eugene, you know? I'm looking at Eugene. I'm liking the discipline that comes with playing golf, the discipline that comes with working out, you know? So I look at, it's good to have some people you can be able to look up to, you know?
It really helps. And you know, I'm glad you mentioned Ben. He's one of my best friends.
Oh yeah.
And it's always nice to have someone who you can call and they tell you you're in your mind. You know, you're getting lost in your own fears. But also a part of it is because of the stresses we do as running and being entrepreneurs. You have people's lives in your hands, salaries to pay, and sometimes even you don't know what you're doing yourself. And sometimes what I've found is sometimes even when the anxiety gets really bad, you also just need to rest. Go home and sleep for 2 days. And come back with a refreshed mind because you create these monsters in your mind.
Yes, I love that you mentioned to me that because when I sat with you last time, we were talking about the power of an idle mind, the power of doing exactly nothing. And I feel like I don't phrase it to my friends the way you phrased it because I just tell them, you know, I was one day sitting with Eugene and he told me, sometimes just be idle, don't do anything at all. And then after that period, you are on your most creative days after. Now, to make sure I don't misquote you, could you take me through that analogy? Like, take me through what you said that time.
So you see, the thing is that I think, I don't remember the exact words then. I was probably referencing a book I had read. But the whole idea around it is usually we are not at our most creative when we are working and doing things. Because if you really think about it, most of life tasks are, so the way I separate it is you've got tasks, you've got maintenance tasks and tasks, you've got two kinds of tasks, maintenance tasks and tasks that move you forward. So a lot of people get very busy with maintenance tasks. Maintenance tasks are things like washing dishes. You know, it seems like it's a very important task, but it really doesn't move the world forward. It maintains status quo. Driving is another maintenance task. It's moving from your office to it doesn't move the world forward in any way. Cleaning does not move the world forward in any way. Washing your clothes does not move the world forward in any way. And I feel like as people and as entrepreneurs, we fill up our time with maintenance tasks and we feel very busy. So it's...
You know, that is me. Let me make you laugh. I'll spend an hour cleaning. Even my person is like, baby, get up. I'm like, no. I love doing things.
And you're busy.
You spend like an entire day.
And now even at the office, there's a ton of maintenance tasks. It's photocopying. It's sometimes you have meetings to discuss the wall or whatever. You know, it doesn't really move the world forward. But it makes us feel busy. So if you really look at your day honestly and ask yourself, of all the tasks you did today, how many of them are maintenance tasks and how many of them are progressive tasks? Now, so one of the first things I do in terms of just maintaining, and progressive tasks, by the way, don't seem like work. Because progressive tasks are you sitting down and going through your strategy and saying, okay, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? You see, it doesn't seem like work. It seems like theory.
Yes.
But that's actually the real work you should be doing.
Come on.
And so that's where idleness comes into play.
Yes.
Because when you're busy with maintenance tasks, days and days go by and you're busy, you've been doing things. So like the most important task sometimes as an entrepreneur is to find business.
Yes.
It's not to shoot and do and edit and stuff. Those are maintenance tasks. And ideally they should be delegated to other people in your business. So being idle allows you, first of all, to separate those things. And it allows you to move away from the day-to-day busyness and look at your operation from a whole. And then also just some of the best creative ideas are achieved when you're not busy doing things.
Yeah.
So I tried as much as possible to have idle time. So first of all, because it allows the brain to rest.
Yes.
And then it also just moves you away from maintenance tasks because it's very easy to just fill up. Shopping is not.
Yes. It's not a progressive task. It's a maintenance
task. Going to drop off a document yourself. It always feels like you're doing something. Nimeenda kulipa bill.
Is this what Denzel was thinking about when he said don't confuse movement with progress?
Perhaps I've not listened to him
He
on that
did.
one.
He says that don't confuse movement with progress.
Yes.
Hey.
So there's just a ton of maintenance tasks that we do them to feel good about ourselves. I had such a, you go home, I had such a busy day today.
Nimefanya kazi. Umeosha vyombo.
Umefanya tu maintenance.
Yeah.
Umekuja kwa ofisi nikafungua ma email, ukarespond kwa emails, ukaangalia domain kama iko sawa, ukasoma kwa maybe you're not progressing.
Yes.
And so as leaders, I try to always, because I'm always keep in mind, if I am running around too much, there's a very high chance I'm keeping myself busy with maintenance tasks. And usually sometimes we do that to avoid a big decision, to avoid a reality.
Yes, you're running away from something.
Yeah. Because as a leader, generally speaking, you're supposed to be leading, not maintaining.
Good. Wow. I think I had just a light bulb moment. I think this is what I needed to hear. That is awesome. But to talk to me about mental toughness, and I had this conversation. I think we were shooting a show for Phil or something, right? And we started, we said there are a lot of issues right now. Mental health, I can't work here. This is crazy. How do you define mental toughness, especially in the world that we are living in, right? So we have high cases of depression, suicide, again, mental health. All these are mental health related. Where do we draw the line between I am depressed and this is me not really wanting to put my mind to work?
I think the way I look at it, and it's going to sound very harsh, is the first thing to move away is from the idea that you deserve happiness. As who promised you happiness, So that notion that you deserve it, I feel it puts a lot of people into a victim mentality.
Yes.
That the world owes you happiness. Why aren't I happy? As opposed to looking at it as what can I do to achieve happiness? And it boils down to all those little tough things that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
Often, a lot of the situations, people remove agency from themselves. What I mean by agency is what power do you have yourself to change situations? So that notion that you deserve happiness, I think, is a first that needs to be killed. Or I deserve, it's entitlement. And I feel like a lot of us young people have that. You feel like the world owes you something, the world owes you happiness, but you owe yourself happiness. Nobody else does. Wow. So generally speaking, it's a matter of looking, so okay, I'm in a bad situation. Yes. What action needs to be done to move myself from here? Because sitting there and being angry and wallowing doesn't help. So that first notion of deciding that it's not owed to you.
Yes.
Now, there's many ways to pull yourself out of an emotional rut. It's, companionship we know for a fact works. So it's that notion of going and sitting down with your support system and saying, I don't think I'm well, and asking for that help. It's pulling yourself out of bed. It doesn't matter how difficult it sounds and feels. There's work needed. It's doing physical activities and spending time outdoors. That's proven to elevate moods. Yeah. It's also keeping busy, genuinely even with maintenance tasks in this case, because it keeps you away from that feeling of rotting away and stuff. So work is required when you're going through problems. Work is required to pull yourself out of it. Yeah. And my approach generally has always been to give myself agency. What can I do to fix the situation? And the idea that the world does not owe you happiness. You owe yourself happiness. So the work that needs to be done to get yourself happiness, it's difficult, but it's what needs to be done. And I think that's part of mental strength. It's reading books too. So like one of the ways that I understood a lot of who I am and the problems I have is by reading. Because reading and consuming art makes you understand, or not even just art, even things like the Bible or wherever you get your strength from. It makes you understand that you're not alone. There's barely any emotion that you're going through that other people haven't gone through and dealt with. So that also understanding that other people have gone through what you've gone through.
Yes.
So read from the
Yours
experiences.
is not a special case.
No, rarely is it. I mean, I'm sure there's one or two people whose their case is really special.
Yeah.
But most of the mental trouble we go through, other people have experienced it as well. And it takes work to pull yourself out of it.
Yes.
And the work can be with you and with your support system. But then the idea of, first of all, putting agency to yourself, what can I do to pull myself out of it?
Yeah.
Another thing now that I'm also noticing, because we as I mentioned to you earlier, at a company now we have a team of almost 60 people. And an interesting thing I've noticed about the younger working demographic, especially, is how quick they are to label things. There was a whole conversation now on the internet about therapy talk. And therapy talk is when you're quick to label something as toxic just because it's pushing you.
Yes.
So like at our workplace, because we maintain a very disciplined routine and uni. So some people have been quick to say that our workplace is toxic, but that's because we are demanding. We require that you be somewhere on time. We require that you be accountable for your actions. People are quick to say that it's toxic and it's bad for their mental health. But really, you're running away from reality. So I think there's also just a lot of that.
There's a lot of that talk. It's everywhere, you know, and sometimes I can't help but ask, do we really know what we are talking about?
Yeah, we are wallowing.
Yeah, is it really toxic, or you don't want to put in the work?
The work required, yeah. Is the world toxic, or you're just not going to work? You know, it's that element of just stopping to label things and realizing the power that you yourself have to. And of course, this is not take away. There are a lot of toxic situations. Of course. But it's very counterintuitive to own mental health issues. You know, there's people who are permanently depressed.
Yes.
So you know, I'm usually depressed. It's you're owning it as opposed to trying and pulling
doing
yourself out of it.
Doing something about it.
So I think that's and I don't know how to achieve that mental toughness. I don't know if it's something like I feel like first of all, I feel like adversity and surviving adversity toughens you if you don't accept to be a victim.
Yes.
So you go through something and you realize it doesn't kill you, it makes you tougher. Not running away from the issues makes you tougher. Not playing victim makes you tougher. A support group is extremely important. It makes you mentally tougher. Then just the work that is required. You need to be able to get up in the morning and not allow yourself to be beaten down by things. Work out if you need to. Go see your friends if you need to. Keep busy. It all takes work. And I feel like it's like a muscle. Willpower is a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it becomes.
The stronger. Because you're sitting on this side, also I've had a conversation, maybe you can walk me through it, that we do not give more attention to the men in our society. All the attention is now around, you know, women. And now men are because I was looking at the rates, the suicide rate right now, it's higher on men than it is on women, right? But then it's like, as a society, we dwell more towards what women are going through than what men are going through. Having sat across men, young men also, what has been your observation?
So first, I am generally against that boy child movement.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why. You know, historically, there's always been groups that have been marginalized or disadvantaged. Racially, it's the black people. You know, we've always been at the bottom of the totem. When it comes to gender, women have always been disadvantaged historically. It's extremely unfair to. So what we've done generally as people is we've said, okay, we need to create a level play field for the women because, you know, for a long time they did not get education, they did not get work opportunities. So as we are doing that, I find it extremely annoying that the guys now are coming and saying, but what about us? But you've historically been advantaged. So we are trying to create equality here for this other group. So I'm against that idea that men have been forgotten about. I don't think, because society generally favors us. When it comes to work opportunities, educationally, historically, and it'll take generations to fix that. So where else men have their problems, I don't feel it's because of the women coming up. It's because generally as human beings we have problems. So one way of looking at it is you could always argue that there's more men killing themselves. But do you know how many men are killing women? Femicide is a bigger issue here than in Kenya. If you look at the papers daily, the number of men killing their wives and their girlfriends and slaughtering them is way higher than the men killing themselves. So what is the real problem? Do you see what I mean? So I'll be careful. I'm always careful to not make it agenda issue.
Yeah.
And I generally don't think there's anything wrong with empowering of women.
Yeah.
In the same way that I think it's important that opportunities be presented for Black people to rise, because globally we've always been disadvantaged.
Yes.
So it's the same thing. It's the same argument that when people say Black Lives Matter, a white man comes and says, but all lives matter. It's the same thing as this boy child movement. So women need to be allowed the opportunities to regain the ground that they lost historically because of all the inequality that has happened.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that we ignore the men, but we need to stop that fragmentation of boy child, girl child.
Girl child.
Women need to be empowered. There's no question about that. It needs to go on. And the men need to be, the issues need to be dealt with without classifying them as men issues, because everybody goes through depression.
There you go. Goes through.
That's my view on the matter.
That's your view.
One boy child movement is an all lives matter thing. And I'm against it.
And you okay? All right. Let's talk about societal expectations, because you're 32. You're doing good, right? When I'm sitting across this side, I'm around your age, right? And people will be like, kids, the tradition, right? So for you, do you get the questions like first, I don't want to ask if you're in a relationship, so this is a general just observation, but do you go through the societal expectation at this age as a man? You need to have settled down, had kids, moved the nation forward.
I do get the question.
You do get it?
Yes, especially from my mentors. The question began a long time ago, like from when I was 24, 25.
Yes.
If Dennis McCurry is watching this, I know he's probably going to text me and ask why I don't have a wife yet. Dennis McCurry is one of my mentors. Actually, even Dr. Sam Denya was also a very good mentor of mine. He's constantly asking me, what's the plan? To be honest with you, I really don't feel any pressure on that. I live with 2 dogs. One... I've got 2 dogs. One, his name is Ziggy. He's a Maltese Terrier. I've been with him maybe 8 years now. And another younger one called Suki, who I've been with for 3 years. And to be honest with you, that's my family setup currently. This might change in the future, but it's not really one of my priorities at the moment. I feel this is one of those things that when it happens, it will happen. But currently, I'm extremely dedicated to my work, and I do understand where the society pressure comes from. But the pressure is not moving me in any way. It'll happen when it happens, if it does. But I really enjoy my freedom right now. I love traveling the world. I love the independence of waking up and doing what you want to do. I have a bit of a controversial statement on kids. When you have a child, they steal your life, because generally, if I have a child today, my life becomes about that child. And I selfishly want to keep my life for a while longer. I want to be able to live for myself first.
You don't want kids now?
I do not now. I want to be able to do what I want when I want to do, because so that then when you do have children, you can dedicate your love and affection and time to them. But right now, I want to remain a bit selfish. You know, with dogs, there's no real issues.
There's no commitment issues.
No, there's commitment issues,
but not like
there's no Parents' Day.
There's
no homework to do.
There's okay. I feel like coming from a man who says they don't want kids right now, it's taken lightly as compared to when a woman says they don't want kids.
Women have an unfair pressure on them, I guess, so because of the biological clock. For the man, you can literally wake up at 45 and it's like, let's do it.
Do the thing.
And I think biologically, because men can, there's less pressure on us than there is on women, because of the ticking biological clock that women... It's just another situation where the world is extremely unfair to women.
Okay, I love this conversation. Not because you're saying things that are on my mind, but I also love the fact that it's coming from a man, you know. But comfort zone. You said for the longest time you felt like this show is all you wanted. And I feel like majority of us, especially in creative, people are there. You get a gig, it's successful, and you feel like this is all I ever wanted, right? And then the world changes, the digital age is here, you can't catch up, and now you don't know what to do with your life anymore. What are the dangers of being in a comfort zone? And I don't want you to only address creatives, because I know there are business people who have been stuck in one business, but they could diversify and they are scared of doing it because you're also in hospitality, you're in film, you're in hospitality. What are the dangers of the comfort zone, and why should we diversify?
I want to answer the comfort zone in how my experience has been. So I remember the first time I bought a Mercedes, and I went to a garage, and I met a bunch of guys who owned Mercedes Benzes. It was a Mercedes garage, and I remember these guys were in love with their cars. One of them was telling me about I've had mine for 10, 15 years.
Yes.
And they were polishing their tires in the morning.
Yeah.
Like these guys were crazy about their cars. And I remember thinking and meeting one of my business partners and saying, I don't want to be that guy. A lot of people unlock a level and own that level. So you move to an apartment in Kileleshwa and that becomes it. Nimefika. So you buy that first Mercedes and you're polishing the tires. It's your car.
Yes.
And I remember I don't want to be a Mercedes guy. I want to be a guy who can afford a Mercedes. So I didn't want to own whatever level.
Yes.
And that's my approach constantly to things. So, okay, I have a TV show. I don't want to be a TV producer. I want to be a producer of 20 shows. I've become the top, like I think currently in Kenya, our company's top reality production company.
Yes.
We don't want to own that level. We want to, so constantly refusing to be owned by a level. So like a lot of people move to, do you know the guys who move back from Nairobi and they move to Athi River?
Yes.
And they become an Athi River guy.
Yes.
That becomes your station. With all due respect to people who live in Athi River.
Yes.
So I'm constantly saying to myself, I don't want to be owned by any station.
Yeah.
Because the world is big. So when you buy that first car and you become so proud of it that it blinds you to what is possible, then your ambition dies there.
Yes.
And I think that's what is a comfort zone to a degree. And also comfort zones are nice because they don't stress you. Why would you be, that argument people usually give of, but gari ni gari, nakufikisha point A to point B.
Yes.
It's you telling yourself a story.
Yeah.
I was discussing this with some friends of mine. So there's a book called Sapiens.
Yes,
by
I've
Yuval.
read it.
Yeah. So there's a story he gives there about how in the 15 and 1600s, the Asians were ahead of the world. They used to have the biggest ships.
Yes.
They were technologically advanced. They were already doing international trade.
Yeah.
But how they used to draw the maps, the map of the world, is they would draw what they knew, and then what they didn't know, they will draw a monster. You've even seen those old maps.
Yes,
so they had dragons.
Yeah.
But you see, the dragons didn't exist. It was the story that created in my mind that when kuna dragons.
Yeah.
So the difference that made the Europeans come up, according to the book, and particularly the British, is the British explorers stopped drawing dragons on their maps. Yeah. So instead of drawing a dragon, you go and try and see what's there.
Yes.
And so when they stopped drawing dragons, they actually went and explored new lands. That's how they found Africa and colonized it.
Yes.
That's how they went to
And
America
they
and colonized
discovered Mount
it.
Kenya.
And discovered Mount
But
Kenya.
we had it all along. But
Yes.
anyways.
But the Asians here had drawn
Dragons.
a dragon. How does that translate in our real life? Every day we are creating stories about why you don't want to go to a place. You're creating dragons and monsters. Pesa money doesn't buy happiness. So that's how you
comfort yourself.
That's how you comfort yourself. You say, sigari ni gari.
See, yote ni vanity.
Yes, ni vanity. It's like a story you're telling yourself. You're creating a monster.
Yote ni vanity.
Watu wanalianga kwa hizo Mercedes huko Karen. You've created a monster that's keeping you in your comfort zone.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about failure. How do you view failure and have you failed before?
Yeah. I have failed many, many times. So before I had the company that I have now, DNR Studios, anybody who went to SIU the same time as me will tell you. I used to have a video game shop where I used to sell these bootleg films.
Yes.
I took you there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that worked for a while.
Yes.
But during that period, I tried an event company that failed. I got a bunch of people, tattoo artists, to pay me money to do a festival outside USIU where they would come and showcase their tattoos.
Yes.
Then there's a lady who came there and said we were doing devil worshipping. Ika collapse, I lost all the money.
Whoa.
I tried a tour company that failed. I tried teaching, that worked for a while and then failed.
Yeah.
And even now, in the business that we do, of each of our TV shows that you see, for one that goes on air, there's usually 5 to 10 that have been rejected. Zingine too, you came, it was a stupid idea, so it wasn't even worth putting to video.
Yeah.
Others we shot and pitched around and nobody cared, or the idea is just not as clever as you think.
Yeah.
Sometimes the timing is wrong.
Yes.
Sometimes you get it wrong entirely.
Yeah.
So there's constant rejection and failure when you're pitching. You're in business now, so there's a lot of most answers are a no.
And no reply.
Yeah,
it's either no
Wakenya kwanza ni ghost too.
or no reply. Someone makes you pitch something.
And
you sit in a board and they never do.
They stop answering your calls
Yes,
after that.
actually.
So there's a lot of that. And then of course now I think the biggest failure I've had for me, at least financially, has been on the nightclub business.
Yeah.
I set up a branch in Westlands with my partners, and it quickly fizzled out in a few months. It was the quickest money we've ever lost and the most.
How much did you lose?
It's a lot of money, double-digit millions.
Ooh.
So it was, and you know, it was. I'm usually the ideas guy on that side.
Yes.
So I was the one chochaying, you know, let's go. I mean, I've thought about this, and we lost because we made mistakes.
Yes.
The location was
yes.
wrong. Everything, we had made very, very many wrong decisions, small ones that piled up. So I think failure is a big part of it. And I've said this before, you know, the lesson there is there's a right way to fail.
Yeah.
It's quickly, cheaply, and never the same way twice.
Wow, powerful.
Yeah.
You don't fear failure?
I do, terribly. I think that's the biggest fear I have. The biggest fear I have in life is failure.
This I'm gonna selfishly ask for myself, right? Because you talked about effort, reward, effort, reward, effort, reward. Now, what happens when you put in the work but you feel like the reward is slow?
So for me, the effort and reward thing had to do with like managing my guilt and sense of failure or success.
Yeah.
Going back to what you've just said, success is probability. You do a lot of work.
Yes.
And you know, that's why I'm usually very quick to not say that I'm successful because of hard work alone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who work hard and things don't work out for them. There's a lot of chance and luck that comes into play.
Yeah.
It's timing. You meet so and so at such a time. So of course, luck must find you working.
Yeah.
But how I started to almost like forgive myself when things don't go wrong, when things don't go right, is did I do everything that was required on my part? If the answer is yes, and it failed anyway.
Yes.
Yes. But when you sit back and you ask yourself, did I do everything? And the answer is maybe you did not.
Yes.
Then you see that's where now the guilt and stuff comes in.
Yeah.
So for me, in terms of effort and reward, I always just try to ask myself, did I do everything that was required? I remember when we were pitching for Real Housewives, me and my team, because we used to put in hours and hours. I used to ask the room before we left, do you guys think there's anybody else working harder at this pitch than we are? And if the answer is yes, then you go back and put in a bit more effort. Have you made every call that you could? Have you visited every office that you could? Have you knocked on every door that you could? If you have, and it still hasn't worked out, you can go to bed easy.
Yeah.
Because it's not your undoing.
Yes.
But if the answer is no, where you're not sure, there's a meeting you're supposed to go to, but you missed it.
Yeah.
You put in half a day work instead of a full day's work. Yeah. Usually the person who gets it is the one who's doing all those other extra things. So like for me, with the amount of effort I put in, when I wake up early in the morning, when I put in the hours, when I do what was required of me and it still feels, I go to bed happy because I did my part.
Yeah.
The rest was so then you judge yourself not necessarily on output but on input. Because you can't control output.
But you can't control input.
So you judge yourself on input. And you be tough on yourself here.
Yeah. You be tough on yourself.
Be tough on yourself on the input.
Don't sugarcoat
you put in
things.
The work. Are you training yourself? Are you doing that course to prevail, to forge yourself? Are you pushing yourself out of your comfort zone? Are you seeking mentors? That you can control. Output is neither here nor there.
It's either here. How do you handle criticism? It's funny because yesterday I had a guest and we were talking about criticism, especially in the creative field. And he was like, he doesn't believe in anything like criticism. For him, it's if you have something to say about the work that I'm putting out there, there are better ways of saying it rather than first being like, I don't like it, he should have done this and this and this. He doesn't even believe in positive criticism. He believes in, I love this show, but I feel like if we add this person and this person, it's going to be beautiful. But it comes from first an acknowledgement of, I appreciate what you're doing. I also feel like if you add comes first as a compliment instead of ilikuwa poa lakini kauni ungeweka Lynn kwa hii Real House, so niweke kwa hiyo Real Housewives kaungeweka Lynn kwa hii, I know kaungeweka Lynn kwa hii Real Housewives nini. How do you handle that aspect? Do you believe in positive criticism or criticism in general?
So when you have both positive and negative, it's feedback now.
Yes.
So I look at it several ways. The first one is let me start with two quotes.
Yes.
The first one was, I think it's Henry Ford. Henry Ford basically designed the car that people use for day to day, like mass market vehicles. And he's famous for being quoted as saying, had he asked the people what they thought or what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse, not a car. So you see often, and that's the thing about leadership and art, people don't really know what they want until you show them. So if you're fully dependent on people's opinions, they'll tell you they want a faster horse. So that's first thing.
Yes.
So to be very wary of
Yes.
generally thoughts. Then I saw a clip by Burna Boy on Instagram yesterday, and he was saying ships, when a ship is in the water, it doesn't sink because of the water outside. These people's maoni ya watu. It sinks because of the water that comes in. So allowing, just all that negative feedback to come in, you'll never do anything because people have opinions.
Yes.
So generally when it comes to my art, and this again is also going to sound very douchey, is we put in the work, but we really focus on feedback from other professionals. Because some guy coming to tell you that, but there's a better version of this in LA. It's a different show. Why are you comparing these 2 hours? And a lot of feedback that you get from the general public is of that nature.
Yes.
For me, I'm happy to get positive feedback when it's, this did something for me.
Yes.
But comparative feedback is of no use. And usually because we run a very self-reflective organization. So if there's a mistake, we've probably seen it and we're working to fix it. Comparing us and telling us this is not as good as something in a SEO where it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
And the way I do it is I do not mind criticism and feedback on the internet or on platforms because I can consume it at my own time.
Yes.
But I don't like it when it's brought to me. See, don't find me at a table kuja kuniambia vile Real Housewives could be better or the way Kyallo Culture sijui what didn't happen. Because what you're doing is you're interrupting my life now with your negative outlook on things.
Yes, you're
negative. Ukipeleka comment sections, nitakuja tu nisome at my own time when that's what we are doing then. So generally, I don't like to discuss my art with the general public unless you're talking about the positive elements or you're a peer.
Yes.
Like you're like in your case, you're in production, so you can tell me apa. Because you see, we don't, there's a thing that people do about media and art. We feel entitled to an opinion. You see, when yes, it's a product, and you see, you go to the marketplace and you buy this tissue.
Yes.
The one that you like. You don't take time to go to go find another manufacturer of other tissue that you don't like. Tell them what you don't like. So you just buy what you like and go and appreciate what you like.
Yes.
But with art, you feel the need to take what you like and then go trash what you don't like.
Yes.
Why? To what end?
Yeah.
Why do you need to go and tarnish a musician who's put out a song and tell them about what's wrong with their art? So just appreciate what you like and take it home and leave the other guy.
See, eat what's in the menu that, like for me, gosh.
It's a very, because if you think about it, art is a product. Why are you coming to tarnish mine? Just go appreciate the one that you like and consume that.
And keep it moving.
Yeah, so, but people are constantly feel the need to come and tell you about how yours is wrong. And but there's other products, consume those. Especially in the marketplace we live in now. So I'm usually very quick to shut out those kind of reviews because go watch what you like.
Yeah.
And of course, although to be fair, there's also other positive feedback where someone is saying, I'm a big fan of this. I really, really enjoyed this.
Nah, those ones I listen to.
Ukiniongeza tu itakuwa sawa. You see, that's a good person.
And that's what Phil was saying. Come with a compliment first. Don't be going, okay, for me personally, I said I'll never defend the work that I do.
Mine is not even just compliments. Yes. If you're a true fan, then I'm happy to then discuss bits with you.
Exactly.
But if not, also just consume what you like, leave it on the comment section, and keep it moving.
You watched one segment of 1 second and you have an opinion.
And before you do, just think of it that way. You're not constantly going to find the products you don't like to review them.
Yeah.
You just review what you like and keep it moving. And so art needs to be treated that way. It's a product. Just appreciate what you like. Give credit where it is. But if not, don't take time to just tarnish things and put them down. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a very honest question because I've seen it especially in the Kenyan music scene where artists put work out there and people say, Kenya to uwezi chezwa South Africa. I was actually in an event and the event had Nigerians, it had South Africans, it had Kenyans, Tanzanians and stuff. And they brought in 2 people to perform. One from Tanzania and another one from Nigeria, but the event is here in Kenya. And I had to ask the organizers, why don't we have a Kenyan performing in this event? But they said it's because of the people we have around, they will not dance to Kenyan music. So I asked, what's wrong? So this is the question I'm going to ask you from a fan perspective. When they say our music, I see a lot of artists putting in the work, and sometimes I also ask, Wakenya wanataka nini aki? Do you feel that reception from the audience that you could be putting in what you think is best, but the reception you're getting from the audience is not what you're expecting? Or do the creatives have a lot to do? Do you think the creative side is lazy?
I think it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
On one front, a lot of the people we are being compared to are in developed markets, much more developed than ours.
Yeah.
If you to use an example of the Nigerian film industry, you know, they've been at it for a while.
Yeah.
And over time, what has happened is with government support, with their people's support, it's grown in leaps and bounds. If you watch the movies that they were making in the 1990s vis-a-vis what they're making now, it's a world of a difference. So, and ours is a very young market. You know, our film industry is much smaller and much younger. So it's an unfair comparison. If you look at even the Nigerian artists who've made it big globally right now, they're building on, I think Burna Boy's mom was Fela Kuti's manager or something.
She was, yeah.
They're building on generations and generations of work.
Yeah.
Ours is still younger for very many reasons. So first of all, the comparison is usually a bit unfair. But even with that said, there is a lot of work that is being put in by artists generally in Kenya to be better.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it's not an argument to sit here and say that you should watch my shows because they're Kenyan. I think you should watch my shows because they're good and you enjoy them.
Yes.
So that's
and you connect with them.
Yes. So me, I don't feel entitled to the Kenyan audience.
Me too.
I feel entitled to an audience that enjoys what I've done.
Yes.
If I'm fulfilling your needs well, please reward me.
Yes.
But even with that said, the Kenyan audience is very skeptical. And I think it's a self-hate thing that comes, I don't know, from colonialism. I don't know where this came from. We generally do not like our own. We do not like ourselves as people. And this manifests in very many ways. It's why you're quick to appreciate something else before yours. It's why you have people who have blanket statements. Me, I don't watch local TV. Which one did you watch last? Because you see, if your notion is that I don't watch local TV, then you're not seeing all the great work that Selena is doing. You're not seeing all the great work that shows like Real Housewives are doing. You're not seeing the great work that Philip is doing. And if you watch it, you can see the progress that's happening year on year on year. And it's growing. And so what will happening in 10 years will be extremely different. It just takes that sitting back as a Kenyan and saying, you know what, Sawa, ditch these statements that you have. Kenyan music is trash, sijui nini. And just give it a chance, because also the only way it grows is if you consume it. You consume it, people have revenue to do better. So appreciate the Nigerian, but don't compare. Just appreciate both. Give it a chance.
Don't go troll the Kenyan.
Yes.
On Twitter.
Propel them. Because remember, all these guys are only big if you have a constituency. Sauti Sol is only big globally because we made them big locally first. And so on. So it's a double-edged sword in the fact that the comparisons are a bit unfair sometimes, but the reality of the market. So yes, enjoy your Burna Boy, but also love your Heart the Band, because they're also doing amazingly well. There's no need to compare either. And if you give Heart the Band enough, I hate using the word support, because it insinuates help. It
insinuates this idea.
Yes, but if you give them enough regard as your own and enjoy their music publicly, because for the local artists and art that I enjoy, I'm public about it. I post about it. I show up to concerts. So elevate the things you like.
Yes.
And they will grow.
Yes.
But that blanket hate doesn't help anyone.
Yeah.
But there's also absolutely nothing wrong with liking Nigerian music and South African films.
But like it, but don't feel the need to like it and say something bad about it.
Yes, and put the other down.
I think that's where, for me, I have a problem. The fact that you enjoy Burna Boy does not give you the permission or the right to say something. From Wakadinali. Or to say something awful about Wakadinali. You know, you could enjoy Burna Boy and still support Wakadinali, not support, regard Wakadinali at the same time.
And we need that mental change. That self-hate thing, I feel like it's a mental thing we need to change. We need to start genuinely, not necessarily loving, but being okay with our own. Like, Swahili music is great. Wakadinali is amazing. The local TV shows you see on TV are great. Consume what you like, elevate it. And it grows. It's like a plant. If you water it and appreciate it, I hear even love helps plants grow.
Not true. True.
So it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, and our industry is certainly growing. There's never been a more optimistic time than now. You can see the craft is getting better.
It's getting better.
The TV shows are getting
quality
better.
is
Look
amazing.
at what you're doing.
Thank you, Eugene.
Like things, we're at a good place. It just needs to be elevated more and more.
And more and more. Do people confuse your honest with arrogance?
All the time. All the time. I'm a bit too direct, which means I will make a terrible politician. But
yes. I don't have time for the lies.
Yes, so often people do confuse my honesty for arrogance. And I'm sort of okay with it.
Yeah.
I've learned to, there's just people I shouldn't engage at that level.
Yeah.
And also I've also just learned to shut up a lot.
Yeah.
In a lot of stations that don't concern me. Just, you don't get into trouble if you don't talk.
You shut up. Yeah. Do you feel support from our government bodies as a creative? Especially, do you feel supported? Do you feel acknowledged? Do you feel like this is the right time for them to actually start listening to creatives?
I do. I really do feel supported.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why. There's a whole notion that artists have of us versus them. So I try to not move in a herd, which is both good and bad, because you move stronger as a herd. But I also try to always separate myself and sort of say, before I yell at the other person and say, you're not helping me, you're not understanding, have you gotten an audience with them and explained properly without finger pointing what your needs are? What I've found about government in Kenya is they generally don't know what your problems are. Mnapiga kelele huko, hawaelewi kile mnaongea kuhusu. But it's easier for you guys to just come in a group and demonize them.
But then the question would be, Eugene, mbona msiweke watu kwa hizo bodies wenye wanaelewa? Why do you have...
But I'm getting to that.
All right.
It's also that notion of you deserve happiness. I deserve to be helped by government. The thing is, so like for instance, I'll tell you an example. There's great bodies like Kenya Film Commission on our side is doing an amazing job.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We have a gentleman there called Timothy Owase, who's the CEO, and he's come through for us for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Recently, we were shooting something at the coast, and we didn't know that we needed a marine license to film in the middle of the ocean. And even before we got in trouble, Timothy had picked up the phone and called us because he knew it was our crew and
Yeah.
But you see, we are constantly sitting down with him and explaining to him what we are doing and seeking help generally.
Yeah.
We take time to explain to him what we are doing and what our needs are. I remember back in the day, there was a time we had, I sit on the board of Shofco, which is the organization, one of the biggest NGOs. And the CEO is called Kennedy Odede. There's a Hollywood star called Tony Goldwyn, who was bought the rights to Kennedy Odede's story. And he came to Kenya looking to film. And I remember we went to see C.S. Moshero at the time, and we went to see Ezekiel Mutua to explain to them what we wanted.
Yeah.
And they just, so what we had been doing before, we had been writing articles in the paper. Kenya is an unfriendly place to film, We are yelling at them.
Yes.
We went to see them, hata hawaelewi kile tunataka. So mnataka nini exactly? We want a tax break on this matter. Oh! So they went and presented it to cabinet, and that, I remember it was December, that Christmas we saw like a small line saying that they're willing to discuss tax exemption on films on a case-by-case basis. You see, it took dialogue to sit down and explain to this person with a clear ask.
Yes.
This is our industry, this is what we are looking for. But sit there and say, atusaidi wangu. Government is not necessarily there to help you, is it? It's there to facilitate.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not defending them. I'm not saying that they're entirely on the right.
Yeah.
But it's easy to sit on one side and yell at the other guy.
Which is okay.
But when it takes more work to dialogue, to go sit down, organize, and come together as a group and say, these are our asks. Can you do this and this and this for us?
Yeah.
All other industries do this, by the way. Manufacturing does it.
Yes.
There's a Kenya Association of Manufacturers. KEPSA, Kenya Private Sector Association.
Yeah.
Guys get together in their industries, they put together what they need, they go and lobby and they get laws changed. Yeah. We are no different.
I know. We
need to kill that victim mentality of tusaidiwe.
That's the truth, but this is where I beg to differ. For you to have a great team producing the Real Housewives, you did not just hire a photographer for a camera person, right? The person had to have the skills to shoot exactly what you needed them to shoot, right? So you are sitting at the body of creatives.
Yes.
This is what creatives need. Why is it my job to come and explain to you what you need to know already? Why is it my job to come and explain to you, this is why do you have an agricultural background, but you are sitting at the board of the creatives? I feel that's why the creatives feel that mtu hata aelewi hii industry, so kwa nini tusikue na mtu anaelewa hiyo industry hapo, which makes it easier now. I can come and talk to you, but I don't need to spend 2 hours explaining to you something as if I'm schooling you, right? But I just need to have a dialogue, but you already know what this entails.
You have a fair point there. This it's now we're getting political.
Yes. No.
It boils down to how they do those appointments
Exactly.
and stuff. But the way I look at it is because I have no control over that. I have no control over who will be appointed.
True.
The work that I know I can do is I can go find them and explain to them what my problem is.
I think
and hope that they do the right thing.
Yeah, a call to action is, could we get skilled people in these places so that it makes it easier?
Yes,
right? I think that would be my call to action.
Yep.
But moving on, because I have to let you go. I feel like I need to have you again for a show.
I'll be happy to come again.
Oh, for real?
Yes,
awesome,
yes.
awesome.
And you can even put us in a discussion.
I know.
Like put a bunch of artists.
Let me put a bunch of. Let me actually, because I know if I call you, you're coming. If I call Phil, I know
Yes,
all
yes,
these people,
yes,
they are coming.
yes.
But I think we need like a round table conversation on this. That's a good one.
Yes.
I'll take it up and execute it. But moving on, what has been your greatest life lesson?
There's a quote, I think I read it from a book. The world stands up and bows down to let pass the man who knows where he's going.
Yeah.
Then I also have a poem that I have tattooed on my wrist.
Yes.
It's an old, I will not pull it out.
Yeah, I had the privilege of seeing it last time, yes.
Yeah, and it basically boils down to what I was saying earlier about having agency, knowing that it doesn't matter where you came from, you have the power within you to change things. So it reads two stanzas. Life is a just employer. Like life doesn't care who you are. He gives you what you ask. But once you life is a just employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you set the target, you must bear the task. So like life will give you whatever it is.
Yes.
But if you choose its millions, you need to be able to do the work that is required to get the millions.
Yeah.
It's easy to sit and say, I want to be a doctor, but you're not willing to go to medical school and do all those things. So life is just employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you set the target, you must bear the task.
Yeah.
Then it finishes by saying, I worked for a menial's hire. I worked for very little, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life will have paid. So like life will generally give you what you want, and it will bow down to let you pass.
Yes.
But you must be clear about what it is, and you must be willing to do what is required.
Yeah.
So in my case, it's, if you're born from privilege, you can, you'll get the capital and go out and you have the cushion, which is great. If you aren't like us, what you need is effort. So like in my case, I know I have to work harder than the next man. And so if life is a just employer, he'll give you what you ask. But once you set the target, you must bear the task.
Yeah.
That's my
Biggest
biggest
regret?
lesson. I don't think I have any regrets.
Oh, good.
There's a lot of things that perhaps I'm not happy about within my past, but I don't spend any time regretting anything. I don't think I have any regrets.
You don't spend time there.
If I had the chance to go back, there's things I will do differently. But because I can't, why bother?
Keep thinking? I think we struggle with that. You feel like 4 years ago I should have done this, so you spend like 30 minutes just thinking about it.
But you didn't, so do what you can now.
Do what you can now.
Yeah, so I'd spend zero time on regrets.
Yeah. It's been an honor as
Asante
always.
sana.
But before I let you go for this, because I'm gonna have Eugene back, guys. I honestly love sitting with Eugene. I honestly, even like last time when we had a conversation, given that's the first time I was doing that segment, I felt inspired.
Yes.
I can't take it away from you that when I put 1 + 1 together, you're also one of the reasons why I'm here. It's because I saw something and I was like, he's doing this. I
Yes.
can do this also. So thank you for that. But before I let you give a parting shot to our audience, is there anything that you felt like you would have dressed? I know there is a lot, but is there anything you want to add?
No, I'm very happy with the conversation we've had.
You good?
I'll be happy to come back with more answers when you have more questions for me.
Yes, I do have questions. I don't think my questions for you will ever be over, but for anyone who is watching you right now, what would be your parting shot?
I always finish with the same parting shot because I feel like a lot of people listen to me because of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And my parting shot is always the same. Start today where you are with what you have, because you'll never be in a perfect situation.
Yes.
And the regret comes when you just don't
Yeah.
get action moving.
Yeah.
So start today where you are with what you have.
Yeah.
And 2-3 years from now, things are different.
Just do it.
Action.
Yeah, action.
And to not have a victim mentality. You have more agency in your life than you imagine. You can pull yourself out of whatever situation it is with the work that's required.
I appreciate you. I know you're on social media, but also if in case they want to follow, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram, I'm on
Yes.
Facebook, I'm
Yes.
on Twitter, I'm on TikTok, and all of them is if you search for Eugene Mbugua, you'll find me.
You'll find me.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Asante.
I don't take it for granted that you made time
No problem
out
at all.
of today, especially being Friday.
Yes.
I know you're winding up your week and you had a lot of of things to do, and also for coming down here for this conversation.
Asante.
And may God bless you. Whatever you do,
as
may
well.
it prosper tenfold,
Asante
you know.
sana.
May we see beautiful shows from your network. You're doing amazing, Eugene.
Thank you very much.
If I don't tell you that and just wait to tell you that years to come, it would be a mistake from my end. You're doing amazing. You're inspiring so many of us. Clearly, you paved way for majority of us. So we don't take that for granted.
Asante.
You know, go get them, show them. Like, nikiona your quality nasema, look at us, look at what we can do. This is from our own, you know, you see it, you're like, wow, did I see that scene well? Hiyo ni transition nimeona, hiyo ni quality, man. So for me, when I see us being put there, to me, it's just a clear indicator that nothing is impossible. So asante sana.
Asante.
Yeah. And guys, I hope you really have been inspired by today's conversation. What a show. What a show. But do you believe in abundance mentality?
Yes,
you do?
I do.
All right.
It's what you attract. It's
yes.
I'm against scarcity mentality.
Yes.
The notion that there's too little in the world. Like everything is within reach if you're willing to do. So I believe in abundance mentality. Yes.
All right. Yeah, it's good because I believe in that too. So guys, I also hope you learned a lot from today's conversation. Really interested in your take home on the comment section. What has that thing that has, you know, your light bulb moment from today's show, nini niyo imekuguza mpaka ukasikia? Well, me, because when I sat with Eugene the first time, I was like, hey, God, I had a moment, and I'm glad I had that moment. And I love learning. I love asking questions. You know, I keep telling, I love the fact that you don't have to know everything, you know. And wise is a man who keeps asking. Wise is a man who can clearly tell themselves, I don't know this. How do I do it better? Do I need a mentor? Do I need someone to look up to? We don't have to have it all figured out at the same time. And go check out his amazing work. His portfolio is like this, but now I'm pretty sure you are familiar with his shows and the amazing work that he's doing right here. So go show support. No, don't show support. Go show regard. That's the word we'll be using on the show from here. Just go and let them know that we appreciate what they are doing. And of course, if you want to share your story with me, info@lnn.digital. That's where you can find me. Do have an amazing day. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. I must do it.